Welcome to episode 95 of the Permaculture PIMPcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. The only PIMPcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living. How you doing, son?
Pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, a little bit under the weather. I guess I'll get to that in a minute. But, you know, one good thing is that as soon as we're done here, I'm going to crawl over into the bathroom and I'm going to rub myself down with some Hickory Ridge soap from Two Old Crows, homestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam!
I didn't know where you were going with that one.
You know now, son, because I'm about to call it a night, dude. Yeah, it's also brought to you by Heaven's Harvest, y'all. Get 10% off with promo code PERMA, P-E-R-M-A. They got some ballin' seeds, some ballin' foods, and it's a Christian-owned and operated outfit. One of these days, if I can ever rub 2 minutes together, hopefully get some of them guys and gals maybe online and talk about the full extent, because honestly, these people, I've heard them in other interviews, they seem to very much have their finger right on the pulse of what's going on in this world. So, yeah, I hope to get them on. Remember, you need anything, 10% off with promo code PERMA. And if you want to tip a pimp, check us out on the Fountain app, where you can check out all of your podcasts, all of them, over there on the Fountain app. And, of course, if you like what we're saying, tip a pimp. But most importantly, y'all, we're going to encourage everybody out there as best we can, because there is a certain amount of oppression or suppression that goes on if you say things that don't necessarily fall in line with the orthodoxy. So the number one way to spread this show is tell everybody about it. You dig? So tell everybody about it, and we'd really appreciate it. Also, drop down, every single place possible on Apple Podcasts. Please give us a review. 5 stars if you would.
On every podcast host, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. On every podcast, whatever podcast platform you're listening on, go ahead and leave a 5-star review if you
think anybody actually bought it, that I knew what you were talking about, because I have no idea.
There's more than just Apple Podcasts. Like Fountain app is an example.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you can leave reviews on Fountain app, though.
Yeah, but tell everybody, y'all, we're doing things a little bit differently around here, and judging by what I see, seems a great number of people actually dig it. So we thank you so much for your support. All right, tip of the day. All right, this is going to make sense. So I just got back from Judy's out there at the Grazing School, the beginner's grazing school. And tip of the day, y'all, say hi to everybody you can. Now, this is not, I want to make sure you know that I'm not repeating this from, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks ago. I'd said that no matter where you are, look, if you got a second of idle time, say hi to somebody, see how they're doing, see if you can be a blessing to them. You may even find out that they're a blessing to you. But when you go to gatherings like this, go out of your way. I usually go out of my way to say hi to the people I don't see talking to anybody. I always do. Now, in this case, I'm sitting here and back and forth at every break, trying to go out there and, get things squared away here and there, and, would come back. And near the end of it, like every other festival, you always wind up meeting everybody and getting to know them a little bit more. People you wish you lived next door to. It is tough to get me out this front door. But I got to say, every time I go to one of these, it's tough coming home to a certain extent, because these are people you wish you could pack up and take with you.
Yeah, and also, like, in certain circumstances, it's almost, I don't know if you feel this way, but sometimes I feel like, wow, these people really need my help. Maybe I'm better served right here for a second. Yeah. Versus coming home where I know there's very capable and adept people. You know what I mean? Right.
Very good point, son, because there was everybody there was fantastic. One lady was asking me about compost, and, she was telling me she's done an 18-day. Yeah. And I think she said she's up in Maryland. And sorry if I don't remember everybody's name, but I'm diagnosing what's going on, telling her, okay, here's how I go about fixing it. And then, somebody else comes up and they're telling me about what they got going on. And it's, another person came up. I won't mention him, but his name, but he and his wife came up and said, hey, right before COVID, man, I got a cousin. I think he said it was a cousin or a brother, knew about all this stuff jumping off beforehand, kind of the way Ronzo told me about that January 6th thing that was going to happen, begged me, do not go up to this thing. And to this day, I don't know what he knew, but,
Yeah, nobody on here knows who Ronzo is.
Yeah, he's an old Army buddy, and he's very well connected. So, yeah. Let me go ahead and square that away. But, yeah, he was begging me, do not go to something like this. And I was like, why? I want to know the reasons why. And he wouldn't tell me, but he was adamant enough to where I took his advice. And with the benefit of hindsight, I now realize it was great advice. But, you know, you meet all these different people from so many different places. Turns out one guy apparently lives down in Bernardsville, sent me an email. Wow. Yeah, sent me an email when we got back. I'm like, okay, that'd have been kind of handy to know.
Yeah, why didn't he say while he was there? While you guys were there?
Well, some folks are shy and, you know, I get it. But folks, really go out of your way to say hi to everybody, because then you find out that there are some fantastic people at so many of these things. One little girl and her dad, his name is Greg, her name is Izzy. And I spent a lot of time with them because she is fresh out of high school. Yeah. Comes up, she and her dad. And I'm telling you, this dude is the doppelganger, the absolute doppelganger of Ben over at Renewed Homestead.
Oh, yeah.
Not in how he looks, but the way he speaks and his very polite nature and everything.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I didn't tell him, but I almost said, Greg, you got a brother out there in North Carolina right now. I mean, just, you know, sweet temperament. His daughter was fantastic. All smiles, you know.
Hold on, Dad. We're getting into the main topic now.
No, that's not really the main topic.
It's not?
No, not really. But I just want to point out that I spent a lot of time talking to them and giving her all these different options because she's wondering, okay, should I go off to college? And her dad's wondering too. So I knew what Greg was going to say, but I brought him up there to go find out. And Greg basically said what I said was, look, basically, if you think you need to send your kids off to go get an ag degree, it's the worst thing in the world if they intend to pursue permaculture or animal management or any kind of
especially an ag degree. If you're sending your kid off to go get an ag degree, you're just making it more difficult for them because they're going to have to now relearn everything correctly.
They're going to have to undo everything they thought, and it's all driven by the chemical companies. And so, man, when I told her about what the options are out there, she was very, very shy the first day, and then the next day she was a little more talkative. But it just to see somebody so wide-eyed. And you could tell she was homeschooled, you know. I mean,
oh, good.
Her dad was wonderful.
Don't ruin it now.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't ruin it now.
Yeah. So rethink that. So hopefully in the future, what I wanted to do, one of the videos, I think it's coming out tomorrow, I tried to seek, because honestly, there were more younger people there than any other time. Didn't get a chance to really nab them all up the way I wanted to. I did get a few of them. And we're going to put out a video tomorrow because honestly, it just stirred my heart to see so many young people that were getting into this space, or at least finding it very, very curious. And now realizing, oh shoot, this is an option because ain't nobody in, you know, and you can make a really good living at it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't tell you that part, but in order to make that good living, you can't go making foolish mistakes. I mean, well, you can, but you're going to suffer for it. Look. Just like Joel, I think it said before, there's no reason you have to go out there unless you're one of those people that's looking to try to make themselves famous or whatever. Just stick to the recipe.
Yeah.
Every single thing. Now you get to the point where you're saying, okay, look, I can tweak this a little bit. I've been doing it long enough to where I can, you know, find different ways of doing it. Then do that. But right off the bat, if you just follow the recipe of the people that came before you, you will find success. But yeah, it was such a doggone joy to see so many kids out there. All right. So, as a note, y'all, there was no video last week.
Oh yeah, there was no video because we recorded it through StreamYard. And then for some reason, like Dad's end of things did not record the video aspect. So if we were going to do a YouTube video, it was going to be just staring at me the whole doggone time.
Man, I was in this stab and jab motel. I don't know what your mom was thinking, man. Hooking me. She's like, man. Let me think. Let me get him the worst flea bag possible.
I wish they could have seen that green like Swiss cheese chair you had.
Hey, dude, I can dig the Swiss cheese chair. It's like, you know, if they didn't give me a bed where, you know, elephants were sleeping in and it has a giant crater in the middle of it, like they just stacked up bowling balls forever.
Not gonna fall off.
And then, oh yeah, it gets even better. You go into I can't complain, y'all, because I've stayed in way, way worse than this. But the night before when I met your Uncle Dion, I'm like, man, I'm in a pretty nice place, you know, down in Columbia or near Columbia. And then I go to this one and I'm like, oh, man. because every single time I go to one of these ones, and it's usually Indians or Pakistanis, it's 100% guarantee something's going to be broke.
Yeah. If anybody has any insight on that, please let us know. I'd like to know what's going on.
I don't know.
Is it like a cultural thing? Is it like, I don't know.
Man,
what's going on?
All I know is they were probably thinking, hey, man, water at least comes on. You work it out if it's hot or cold, Jack. Yeah. I'm like, man, what is up with this place? But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, I have stayed in places, honestly, I remember where I had to literally take a butter knife. There was no doorknob in this place I was staying in. It was $10 a night. I was an apprentice back then, and we were broke. No hope, no soap, and the rope kind of broke. I was a first-year apprentice, and I had to work out of town, and I found this place for $10 a night. And yeah, I mean, it had no doorknob. You could see right through there. So I had a bunch of these metal butter knives that was sticking up in the frame.
Yeah.
Keep me alive. There was no heat in here. I was like, I'd be better off just sleeping in the sleeping bag in the car. Yeah, bed bugs, the whole 9 yards. But this was actually quite an improvement. And honestly, in the Army, I've stayed in 10 times worse, which is called the dirt. All right, so we're going to get right into it. Farm news, son. How's things around here?
Everything, well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I guess the little ram passed away. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that on the podcast or not, but yeah.
I mean,
there's a bigger lesson in all of that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the bigger lesson being, you know, don't let anybody in your family get attached to him. You know, he was a sweet little, cute little lamb. I was gonna basically make him so he couldn't reproduce, turn him into a wither, and then, you know, we would have had room for him. But hey, he was a premature bottle baby, and you know, he had some of these things can happen for absolutely no reason when it happens to sheep, you know.
Well, especially whenever they're premature, like Emily, she's a NICU nurse, and she was explaining, like, sometimes with the premature babies and stuff, I mean, they could be premature. I mean, there's one main reason right now why they're premature, but typically they could be premature for a whole host of reasons. And when they're like that, they could just like pass away. I mean, just at any moment, and that's a human. So. And it could be later on down the line too, like whenever the baby's home past the NICU and all that. So, I mean, that could have been what would happen with the little lamb. We don't know really what he passed away. It wasn't like an attack or anything like that. I think his little heart just kind of gave out.
Yeah, he was a sweet little lamb. I mean, he was always going to be a little tiny thing, and Michelle loved him. And she's been really taking it hard, so pray for her, folks.
Yeah.
All right, on another note, well, no more bad news. I failed 75 hard so far. All right, so check this out. Doing everything I'm supposed to. Get out there and then realize I didn't drink no water and I didn't take a picture. I'm so busy working about the offense that I didn't even think about the defense. So I'm right back at square one. Y'all, I was fit to be tied. I ain't even going to lie. I mean, it was a good thing I wasn't around anybody yesterday because I drove back, and then, of course, driving back, had to add another 2 hours to the drive because I ain't driving through Illinois.
Well, the second time I called you, you were not happy on that phone. I didn't know what was going on. I figured it was just you were tired of driving and whatnot. But that second time I called you, you were not happy. I don't know if you just realized or what.
No, I'd realized actually earlier that day. I just didn't want to say anything because I'm just so aggravated. You know, you put so much into it. And then, you know, you fall short, and all because of some stupid things. I'm over here worried about the big things. And honestly, what led to the failure, because it's important to note, is that I'd become rather consistent with writing down everything and then marking things off as I go. Yeah. I didn't do that because I didn't do it the last time I took a trip, and did just fine. And here we go.
I had to write everything down up until like maybe the last 2 weeks.
I was furious, man. I mean, I was fit to be tied. And by the time I realized I was on that second day at Judy's place, and they had lunch, and I was like, okay, I can eat this chicken. But I'm like, man, I already done screwed it up already. Put a bun on there too. So I went ahead and ate that. But yeah, on the way home, so I was kind of reeling about that, but I don't know what's going on, man. Accident after accident.
Well, hold on, Dad. Back on 75 hard. So are you like done with it, or are you restarting?
No, I'm going to restart. I was actually going to do it today, but then, yeah, that brings me then to the other story. So I'm driving around Illinois, and I ain't driving through there. You know what? It also makes me wonder how much revenue they're losing because I will not drive through there for no amount of money. I'm armed. I'm well armed. And I'm not driving through any place that's going to disarm me or try to throw me in jail for following the Second Amendment. Shouldn't need any. Anyway, I won't go into all that. So I drove all the way around, adds another 2 hours to a 10.5 hour drive. But I'm like, okay, oh, well, so you didn't get my gas money. You didn't get my food money. And I bet you money, there's a whole lot of other people that are doing the same exact thing. My friend Barrett, he was like, hey, make sure you're doing it. I'm like, yep, already ahead of you, bro. Didn't drive through there on the way there and ain't going to drive through. I don't care if I got to go get another hotel. But as I'm part of it, I stopped at this place. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to miss, I might as well miss big because I ain't starting 75 hard today. So I stopped at this Jimmy John's after I got gas.
Yeah.
And something told me as I'm going up to the counter, I was wearing that "And We Know" shirt.
And we know?
And we know.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I could see the girl behind the counter. You could see her disposition, maybe her countenance even change a little bit. And then there was this other girl that comes walking up. She's fixing to make the sandwich. And all of a sudden she went, I mean, like that, seemed that her countenance changed as well. Something told me, get your money back and walk out of here. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I wanted me some Jimmy John's. And, I don't know what happened, but I go down the road, I'm driving and I'm eating a sandwich. And I get about most of the way done. And then all of a sudden I start getting this like low-grade headache and I start feeling achy all the way around. And I'm like, man, I don't know what happened. I should have listened to that feeling and I didn't. I don't know if them girls saw my shirt or felt my presence or what's in me. And it collapsed because all of a sudden it was just weird. I don't know what it was. I don't know if they were jabbed up. I don't know. All I know is I get up today, slept 8 hours, which I never do, and get up and then all of a sudden I'm feeling achy and I'm getting worse. So I went out there, took me some ivermectin, and I started getting better, went out there, flipped these compost piles, which I probably shouldn't have done. And now I'm kind of back on that thing again, but I'm pulling it through because I love doing this podcast. Love hanging out with y'all. And then love hanging out. He's going
to crawl to the bathroom after this, apparently.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get in there and take a shower. I'm pulling it together right now.
Ask if you're all right.
Yeah, so I'm definitely coming down with something. But I put some of that ivermectin in me. I'm taking liposomal vitamin C. You got issues, man, where you're taking 2,000 milligrams every 45 minutes and you still haven't hit bowel tolerance. So yeah, there's something going on there, and hopefully some good sleep. Drank a bunch of bone broth. Always keep some of that back. So we'll see if, we'll just pray. Everybody pray that the good Lord just get me through this thing. And I don't know if I was around these girls. I mean, I don't know. She may have been Typhoid Mary behind that counter. Ain't no telling. But
could have been jabbed up.
Could have been, man.
Yeah.
But then I took that like your mom for 2 days. She couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. I said, look, just go ahead and take some ivermectin. I was giving her vitamin C, didn't do nothing. I gave her ivermectin, bam.
She was like throwing up stuff too.
Yeah.
It was weird.
2 days straight, y'all. And that woman's as hard as woodpecker lips. I ain't kidding. And then when she's having a hard time, she's broke down, it's a problem, y'all.
Yeah.
Because she'll drive you crazy when she's sick because she won't listen to anybody. She'll just keep on trucking. I got to make dinner. I got to do this. I got to do that. But anyway, I did manage to pack up a little bit of bone sauce that I had done. Drove by First Form, which was ironic considering the fact that I just failed 75 hard. So I drove by First Form right there in St. Louis, and I was like, okay, well, why are you doing this? And I told myself, you know what? I'm going to go over here, and I took a picture, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be inspiration. This is going to be inspiration. There was a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu camp going on there.
That's cool.
And it looks like I could have kind of snuck in, but I wasn't about to sit here and wait in line forever in a day. But
well, okay, so about First Form, the other day I was at the gas station up here in Mars Hill, and there was a guy in front of me checking out, and he had a First Form shirt on. And I said, oh, hey, man, I like your shirt, Andy Frisella and all that stuff. And he just like turns around and looks at me and he's like, huh, okay. And then goes right back to checking out. You would think if like you recognize somebody that listens to Andy Frisella or First Form, it was like somebody gave him the shirt and he was like, oh, okay.
Okay. That reminds me of a story I was told, and you can't reveal who, where I gave somebody who was relatively well known in this space a shirt. And it said Permaculture Pimp Daddy on it. And then he wound up giving it to somebody else after. I never liked that clown anyway, but he gave this shirt that I gave him to somebody else when he was all covered in pig juice or whatever else. And I'm like,
To wipe off with.
Yeah, to wipe, take this piece of garbage. So
Yeah.
maybe that's what somebody did with him.
Oh, man.
Well, that's all right because, we do good work and I'm very, very proud of it. But at the end of the day, I'm not a big fan of driving cross country. I definitely hate driving at night, and especially at night in the rain, which I didn't have to do a whole lot of that. But honestly, man, I've never seen so many bad drivers in my life. I mean, for no reason whatsoever that I can possibly discern. You want to talk about stay alert, stay alive. For no reason, people were slamming their brakes on the interstate.
Yeah. It's like people see the brake lights ahead of them, and they don't understand that there's a difference between no brake lights and slamming the brakes. It's like, oh, they're braking up ahead, and I got to slam on my brakes.
I couldn't get home quick enough. All right, y'all. With that said, we're going to head on into the homesteading pastor himself, Pastor Lon, my pastor.
Hello, everyone. This is Pastor Lon. I got something a little different I want to share with us today. It's something I've always been told all my life from my parents, my grandparents, and all the elders in my life. And that is that experience is the best teacher in life. And what they mean by that is you can be taught many things in the classroom. You can read about different things in books. You can even watch stuff on TV and even on YouTube. And all that's good. But until you get your hands dirty, until you get some hands-on experience, until you break a sweat and get down in the trenches and the ditches of life to take on different tasks, you will not get the full impact of the knowledge of the task at hand. My granddaddy used to tell me, son, if you want to know something, do something. And I found that to be very true in life. The more you do, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the more you can share it with somebody else. So my advice to us all today, if you want more knowledge, get some experience under your belt by getting your hands dirty. He also used to tell me, you can't get that sitting back in the easy chair, laying down on the couch watching TV, or even in the classroom.
You can't Google experience. Wasn't it Joel Salatin that said that?
Yep. And also, hey, careful, even with like the YouTube teachers and stuff like that, careful because some of them haven't done it and they're teaching you.
Yeah,
so,
and some of those folks are just flat out frauds. We won't even get into that, and we know for a fact that there are some that just are flat out frauds.
Yeah.
But honestly, okay, son, so that brings me to what I'm doing right now. By the way, I got to give it to you. The shorts we're doing on Patreon. And the reason I'm saving it for Patreon is because I know the people over there are very, very serious because you're on Patreon.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a step-by-step tutorial, and I'm going to make this thing to where, and the biggest reason I'm not doing it on YouTube, number one, it's a way of me saying thank you for the people over at Patreon.
Right.
But also, I can't sit here and guide 100,000 people on what they're doing wrong. I need that smaller audience on Patreon. I can address whatever it is they got going on, and we can work through it. But there ain't no way on earth I could possibly do that on YouTube. But at the end of the day, you can sit here and watch me all day long. If you don't put your foot to butt in getting this stuff done, look, I don't care. I don't care how many videos you watch. Until you put your hands on it, it don't mean nothing to me. And really, I mean, you could sit there. How many people have watched Greg Judy over and over and over again? I didn't feel like I understood it 100% until, I'll get to that in a minute. I didn't feel like I understood it 100% until I saw it with my own two eyes.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that here in the main topic. All right, we're going to jump straight into bad news, good news. Burned out. 1 in 5 nurses could quit over the next 4 years due to post-pandemic burnout. All right, you were just talking about your wife a minute ago, my daughter-in-law.
Yep.
And she's a nurse, and she's telling me, well, I don't know what I'm okay to say, but they are pretty doggone busy in the baby unit.
You're good. You can say it all.
Well, I'm not going to say in any kind of detail, but apparently they are pretty doggone busy in the sick baby unit.
Well, the crazy thing about it is that now it's kind of the pandemic for the NICU unit and the baby unit, because now they're now seeing, because COVID didn't affect children, but they're now seeing like the surge coming from like all the people getting jabbed up and now having kids.
It's absolutely it's sickening. It is absolutely sickening what's going on, and almost nobody except Dr. Thorpe, the guy's name is Dr. Jim Thorpe, probably the best baby doctor in the world, and he's sitting here saying this is so many deviations beyond anything. And nobody seems to care. So, hey, that is bad news, y'all. These are our caregivers. There was another interview I was listening to on the drive home where I can't remember. Man, I listen to so many things on the way home. Where one of them was talking about a lot of the MDs out there. By the way, MD doesn't mean medical deity. A lot of these MDs are so upside down the saddle with debt that they just said, okay, I got to pay my debt. So, yeah, bring them on in. We'll jab them. And then a whole lot of nurses.
Most MDs.
Yeah, record numbers of nurses said nope. In comparison, the nurses far outweighed the doctors as far as saying no. This thing is a killer. I ain't going to have nothing to do with it. So I have nothing but mad respect for nurses and for a whole bunch of other reasons too. I mean, we know some nurses out there and they are the most selfless people you will ever meet.
Yeah.
All right, good news. Chat GPT forced to admit that Bruce Jenner, I guess he's got a new handle. He's going by Caitlyn. He's a man after all. Well, how about that? You need a Chat GPT to tell you that? The dude won a gold medal
in the men's division.
He won a gold medal. He was on the Wheaties box, man. When I was a kid, everybody looked up to Bruce Jenner or Jenner, whatever he's going by today. Caitlyn, whatever. I mean, look, his mama named him Bruce. I'm going to call him Bruce.
Call him Brucey.
Yeah, I don't care. Or that Bradley Manning. Look, I'm not playing this game. Look, just like Pastor Lon said the other day, man, your yays better be yays and your nays, nays. I'm not playing this game. I don't care if you go and change your name. What's your Christian name? What'd your mom give you? That's what I'm going to call you. I'm not playing this game. And frankly, I don't care who I piss off at this point. Everybody's saying you got these overwhelming so-called conservatives out there that, we're going to be the strong, silent type. Yeah. How's it working out for you?
Yeah.
How's it working out for you? Look, I may lose, and frankly, I have. I can sit here and play the game like so many others and be concerned about offending anybody. Look, I was looking for a job when I found this one. So I don't care. At the end of the day, if they go ahead and scrub me off, guess what? I know exactly. Look, I'm a pretty doggone impressive electrician. I can always go back there, put my tools on. They can scrub me out there. You know, I can still make a living doing what I do right here. But at the end of the day, I had option A, B, C, D. Maybe that's why I run my mouth so reckless, because I don't really care. At the end of the day, I'm a soldier for Christ, and nobody's going to sit here and shove this stuff down my throat and make me say, well, they identify. Some fool asked me for my pronouns. I'm like, what? I mean, when I did this, PIMP, there you go. And don't make me elevate that pimp hand. I forget where, is that one of them farm meetings? They had a little thing in there that said pronouns, and I just wrote in, are you serious?
Yeah, okay. So here's a little trick. If you guys are like employers or whatever, here's a little trick to weed out your applicants. Have them fill out the whatever it's called. That's how long it's been since I filled one out. Whatever it's called, the application. Yeah, have them fill out the application. Leave a little pronoun section. If they fill it out at all,
bam.
Don't hire them.
You're on the first thing smoking right out that door.
If they don't leave it blank because you're supposed to tell on site.
Well, if some grown man wants to go out there and chop his junk off, I'm okay. You do whatever you seem fit. I'm pretty liberty minded when it comes to that. I pray for you. I wish you didn't. I wish you didn't have this mental illness.
I'm not gonna hire you.
Yeah, but when you start messing with kids, man, boy, that's one way to get me to come unglued. All right,
Target right now.
That was supposed to be good. Oh man, yeah, we'll save that for another time.
I have a shirt idea.
I took a picture when I was in there before all this stuff came out. We're going to have to go to a break in a minute, but let me go ahead and get to this other one. So this is other good news, and that last one was supposed to be good news. I guess maybe I turned that one off to the side. Bruce Jenner. I wonder how much doctoring they did to that picture there, because you know what? He didn't look bad as a woman in that picture.
Dad, I can't believe you just said that.
I'm saying he didn't look like most of those trans testicles running around.
Can't look past that Adam's apple.
No, but they didn't have it like that. If you didn't know that was a dude, the way they got that thing doctored up, you're like, hold on, man.
Yeah, that's true. If you didn't know if it was a guy beforehand, you wouldn't. I mean, yeah. You
wind up like your Uncle Dion at Fort Bragg, man. Dang. He finds out.
You just snitched on him,
yeah,
man.
Dude.
Dang.
Oh, I'm gonna dog him left and right, dude. Yeah, he goes out there trying to throw his Mac onto some girl out on Hay Street. Come to find out her name was Belinda. Yeah. We went on about our merry way, as you can imagine, but that was years ago. All right, so 24 Republican governors pledged to support Texas in securing the U.S.-Mexico border. All right, y'all. Well, there you have it. That's good news. That is really, really good news. All right, we're past the break. When we come back, it's off to the main event. All right, welcome back to the PIMPcast. Slight correction.
Oh, hold on, Dad. Your mic was off. There
yeah, I
you
think
go.
they kind of got me now. Yeah, I don't know. Why was it off?
I didn't touch it.
I didn't touch it either, y'all. So, yeah, we got some of that Tony Merkel stuff going on up in the studio. Anyway, welcome back. Hey, slight correction there. It wasn't your Uncle Dion. It was your Uncle Jack.
Oh, man. You snitched on two people and one person didn't even do it.
Dude, and one of them, okay, my bad.
Yes, too
it
bad
wasn't his
now.
fault, dude. It ain't like he went home with it. It was like, hey, yeah, how you doing? Anyway, that's a whole other story.
Man.
Yeah, all kinds of weird stuff happens on Hay Street at Vietnam. Anyway, topic of the day. Before we get into it, I want to remind everybody, EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. Yeah, your number one threat out there. Yeah, you may be worried about an EMP and what it might do, but your number one threat is lightning. Anything that happens to your crib, believe me, they got you covered up to 25 G's. There ain't another one out there that offers that, and that is why I reached out to EMP. They didn't come to me with their hats in their hands. I went to them because I am a journeyman electrician, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I put in many of these, and ain't nobody got a guarantee like they do.
And it just so happened that your friend worked there, right?
Yeah, my friends. Yeah, I know everybody that works there for the most part. Had no idea that this happened in Kansas when we left, but yeah, really good people, y'all. $50 off with promo code PERMA. All right, so for somebody that's feeling pretty ill right now, I'm actually not doing too bad. I thought I'd be kind of laid down, but I kind of get an adrenaline pump every time I get behind this microphone because I love doing it. I really do love this podcast. I love doing it. And hopefully one of these days, YouTube, if they ever get around to kicking us off, this may be the only means that we have out there. And well, we also have Brighteon and Rumble.
Yeah,
we're
on Brighteon and Rumble. Yeah.
So somebody reach out to Mike Adams and tell him, hey, you got a permaculture pimp up over there in
You got a
Brighteon.
pimp in your presence.
Yes, go ahead, get them on there, promote this stuff. All right, y'all. So the main event here, what I really wanted to get into is really what I learned. Everybody in this family, William just signed up for another class. Any
The
given
soil
time,
class.
yes,
I'm doing the same soil class.
He's now doing the soil class that his mom and I did from Dr. Ingham. And folks, we spend, where other people may go out and buy cars, go on nonstop vacations. We know folks who go on vacations practically twice monthly. We spend a lot of money. We don't buy cars. We don't buy any fancy this and that.
Yeah.
We live a low consumption lifestyle because we grow our food, and whatever disposable money we have, we get more education because this is what we love. Well, one of those forms of education is, and the best form, and Greg has actually written it in his book, that, look, if you can't get a pastor walk out of the deal, then you're not getting the full extent. And he was right, because I've done other classes where, and I won't say from who, because they were helpful to a certain extent, but until you can see it three-dimensionally, I don't think the classes are, they're adequate. They'll get you there, but you can't beat, like Pastor Lon said in the beginning of this, it's like he knew what we were going to talk about. It's like you can't, until you see this thing three-dimensionally, you don't fully know the full extent of how well you're doing it.
Yeah.
And what I learned there is we're doing an exceptional job. I'm dead serious. I'm not trying to brag. What I'm saying is I knew what the benchmarks were. Greg isn't running his sheep in a high density model, but things look great. You look where his cows are, things look great. And when I called home and I talked to you, and I'm like, okay, well, it's at least confirmation. I learned so much. Even though this was a beginner's class, I'm glad I started there, because I'm not sure I would have got the information had I started with the advanced class. Yeah. Because straight up, little things like I'm asking, okay, so I got multi-floor rows, I got blackberry, and I got goldenrod out there. Sheep ain't touching that goldenrod. What's going on? And so what the Amish guy, Abram, I mean, he's an absolute whiz when it comes to sheep.
Yeah.
And so I'm learning, okay, well, goldenrod ain't exactly going to be their first choice. They'll eat it if they have to. And I'm like, okay, to get them to eat it, do I want to mob them up a little bit tighter? He's like, yeah. But I mean, and then he's like, basically get rid of the goldenrod. That's basically an open indication that your soil's jacked up. And he's right, because it's in one of the areas where we did overgraze, and it's recovering right now.
It was an area that was already jacked up, and then we almost fixed, and then we overgrazed it, and now, I mean, it's the best it's ever been so far.
And it's going to get better.
Yeah.
It's going to get better. So that's one thing there, is that putting your hands on this, it's one thing. I read all the books, seen the videos, got the management part. I mean, yeah, we're going to eventually we'll get the sheep down to just doing polywire.
Yeah.
We're just not ready for that yet. And honestly, we're going to have to do some heavy culling. Ain't no two ways about that.
Yeah,
That's the way it's just going to have to be. You can't put up with bad genetics. You can't put up with bad behavior, or you're going to have a petting zoo, just like we talked about before. Now, I am totally dispassionate, because it don't mean a thing to me to put one of them in the freezer if it's misbehaving. And we got at least one.
Here's one question I just thought of for Greg, but like, how do you know, at what point do you start taking in consideration like nutrition versus genetics? Like, was it a nutrition issue or was it a genetic issue? And then, like, because if it's a nutrition issue, you might not want to call for that, I wouldn't think, because, you just need to, like, adjust the mineral, or they need better pasture or something like that.
No, it's like they have got to make it work on whatever you put them on. That was covered. Yeah.
Okay.
So they give them, they got free choice mineral out there. They pull them big old wagon full of mineral, and they can get in there and get whatever it is they need.
Yeah.
But if they don't do, it's kind of like the way we do our food forest, like the Mark Shepard method, the stun method.
Yeah.
If with Mark Shepard's model, look, you put that tree in, and if it doesn't do it, hey, who needs you anyway, man? You get hewn down and thrown into the fire.
But a key to that, because I could see some people going off the rails with that. The key to that is that strategic total utter neglect. Like, you provide everything that it needs beforehand. You don't just throw it out there, neglect it, and then like, all right, didn't work. Let's go on to the next one, because you're going to be cycling through animals like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to be ruthless to a certain extent.
Meaning, like, they need mineral. Like, you can't go out there just throw sheep out in the pasture. They need proper management. They need mineral. They need, obvious things like water and shelter and all that. Well, maybe not shelter, but
yeah, you got all those things down. But at the end of the day, the thing you learn is that you have got to run sheep and everything else you have in the most dispassionate way. Yeah. You just gotta take your head out of it. And then when you have a bottle baby or something like that, I basically told your mom, I'm like, okay, well, he's going on the first thing smoking out of here. He ain't staying here. Can't stay here. Or, I was going to go ahead, and then I thought about, okay, well, we can use him as a Judas sheep, because Walter's getting kind of old right now. And I'm thinking, okay, we could probably use another Judas sheep and give her something to cuddle. Like, she ain't got enough already. But, that didn't work out. So look, from now on, William and I, look, if you have certain people on your homestead or on your farm or whatever the case may be, and they can't separate their mind away from baby and animal, those are people that cannot deal. That she will never have another interaction with any of these sheep again.
Well, no, I mean, like, she can move sheep and stuff like that,
yeah,
but no, like close connected interaction with the sheep.
No, that's not going to happen anymore. That's just simply not going to happen. And we've dealt with this before. She has her strengths, but that's not one of them. And so, honestly, you got a mother that ain't performing, in the pot you're going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it's got to be.
I mean, if there's one that keeps getting sick with the same doggone thing, it's got to go. Yeah, jumping the fence, it's got to go.
Well, that was another thing I learned out there. They had a young ram who was up here jumping the fence. At first, it was him, and then, they got a single wire out there, and then finally, Greg said, all right, you're going to have to shoot him. And so it was a little ram. Hey, but the rest of them got the hint.
Yeah.
Like, okay, hey, you're supposed to stay in here, dude. You don't do it. You can't have these guys jumping out of there. But honestly, when you see the no-nonsense way of how they do things, when you see that, you're realizing, okay, there can be no wiggle room for certain things.
Yeah.
Absolutely no wiggle room at all. And as far as like knocking off the seed heads and stuff, we used to do that before.
Yeah.
And we stopped doing it for some reason, but we need to go back to it. You run through, knock them seed heads off. We were doing it before and we saw improvement, and then you just get busy with life. But now I got this newfound interest in making sure these pastures are exactly what they're supposed to do, because I don't want to deal with sick animals.
Yeah.
I don't want nothing but healthy things out there. And we know what good management looks like. We know what we got to do. And all it takes really is just a little bit of better, going out there doing exactly what we know we need to do. Now, another good thing I learned out there is they do have rams. Apparently, Abram and also Greg, they do have rams, I think, that are available.
Oh, cool.
So if this one we have, turns out to be a dud, he's supposed to be highly parasite resistant. But if he turns out to be a dud, because we've already had one dud, two duds, really.
Two duds. Yeah.
And I know that sort of thing happens, but we can straighten out a lot just by getting a good ram.
Right.
So that's what I'm hoping we're going to wind up doing. But I'll tell you what, seeing all of these, another thing I learned out there is that typically when you go to things like this, there's almost never any young people there, ever. I mean, if there are, son, it's probably you.
Well, I mean, look at the festivals and stuff like that. All the young people are because their parents drug them there. Or unless you're Ty from R&L Homestead. Yeah, but everybody else, like the young people there are like very small children for the most part. Very rarely are there people my age or around there.
Well, I'm telling you what, it's such a joy to see that. But another thing I learned is that, hey, more and more and more young people, Greg's number one man out there, man. I mean, they both work together, but basically his range boss out there, he's 22 years old.
That's cool.
And, I talked to him, and folks, you'll be able to check him out a little bit in the interview I do tomorrow with him. And, extraordinary young man. And he was teaching out there. He is an instructor out there, and it's pretty awesome that Greg gives these guys liberty to step up and teach, because honestly, they only learn it better. And Greg is a great teacher, and honestly, also these guys, I highly recommend it. I really do. I definitely want to go back again when Ian Mitchell Ennis is out there. I want to go there and go get this advanced. I think your mom did the advanced thing when she went. Yeah. Pretty sure she did. And that's exactly how I'm going to be heading that way. I will say, check this out. First day we were there was rain, and it wouldn't stop raining. And I'm like, okay, it's May in Missouri, and I ain't expecting that I need a jacket, but you did. Yeah. And it was just cold and rainy. It was just nasty and wet. And it rained nonstop pretty much all day. So the next day, we go out to his fields. Now, remember what I said before, y'all, about the organic matter in the soil. I'm sitting there where we are with the cows. It just rained cats and dogs all day long. We went down there, and I got my regular boots on because I knew if his organic matter out there was what he said it was, I shouldn't need rubber boots. Right. And so I went out there, and I'm wearing my regular boots, and I'm like, you couldn't even tell that it rained out there.
That's awesome. Other than like the dew on the ground?
I mean,
like on the grass?
I think it was far enough in the day to where there was enough sun up to where you couldn't hardly tell. I'm sitting out there while Greg's talking. I'm trying to listen, but at the same time, the bigger lesson to me is I need to see what's in that soil. I need to look at the forbs out there. I need to look at how thick this mat is. I mean, man, I wanted so bad to take out my pocket knife, and I couldn't do that. I mean,
start cutting up his field.
Yeah, I wanted to get down there and see what was up, and I was going to ask, and I'm like, I don't know, man, that's probably a little too much. But as I'm walking around there and I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, it rained cats and dogs all day long. Sometimes it was coming down pretty good. You would never know that it rained. But if you look at all the other fields we passed going to his place, standing water. In fact, there was standing water the very next, when we left for that day, there was still standing water in these other plowed fields. Wow. We weren't sloshing in it. It was all, I mean, he told me, I asked the question, I was like, so you know what your organic matter is? He said he started out at 0.05. Wow. 0.05. And now it's up to 5.
That's cool.
So for every 1%, folks, this is why we go on about this stuff. For every 1% of organic matter you put down in that soil, that's an Olympic size, roughly, an Olympic size swimming pool of water per acre that you can store. That's with every 1%. Well, he's got the equivalent of 5 Olympic size swimming pools
per acre.
This is astonishing. And it all goes right back to great management.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting out there. I'm like, man, I'm like, dude,
I'd love to see how
Please.
drought-proof his place is,
Well,
in comparison to the surrounding areas.
Well, I'd love to see that too. There was apparently one guy that was out there the week prior for the advanced school, and why he came back to this other one, I don't know, but he was out there for the advanced school, and he said it was like hard as concrete when he was walking around, but it couldn't have been because, or at least it may have seemed like that on the surface, because there is no way, if you have that kind of compaction out there, that water would have seeped in.
Yeah.
There ain't no way, no how. So his organic matter is off the flipping charts out there, and that's by doing nothing, absolutely nothing more than just good management.
That's awesome.
So you can see this, and I'm like, good night, man. Look at the variety of everything out there.
So permaculture works, Dad?
That's exactly it.
Permaculture works.
I don't know that Greg would call it that, but it definitely works. I mean, he may not call it that. He may say regenerative rancher, and I understand there's a whole lot of people using regeneration instead of permaculture because there's too many of you nut jobs in the space, really, where one person does one thing you don't agree with, and it's always the ones that are most critical are the ones that have never done anything. They got nothing to show for anything they've ever done.
The ones that have a pretty front lawn. Like it's different enough to ask questions about it, and they can virtue signal like their permaculture knowledge and how they're saving the planet and stuff like that, but it never progresses past that.
Yeah, so what are you doing? What are you eating? And it's funny because some of the people that are the biggest critics out there, and boy, I would love to name drop right now, but I'm not going to do it. Talking about maybe the way Joel Salatin does his chickens and the way there's some of these people that have been on this place for X amount of years and don't even have chickens. And you're dogging somebody else out there for their management. But man, when you get out there and you look at what's going on, I mean, I wonder what would happen if Greg had his chickens going behind it. Because honestly, those cattle fields, man, they were just something else. I mean, they were absolutely something else. The patties, it didn't stink. The patties don't stick around. So in terms of management, y'all, I got to say, man, this is what you cannot get a full, complete understanding just by looking online.
Oh, for sure.
You can't do that. You just can't understand until you see it three-dimensionally. You can't possibly understand the soil that has been built in some of these areas.
Yeah, and that goes with all things online. I mean, it might be a good idea to get like a limited amount of knowledge from YouTube videos and stuff like that, but really experience is when you're going to start locking it in or truly understanding what you're doing. Like, okay, for example, jiu-jitsu, I can look up moves online all day long. I'm never going to retain any of those until I go to practice and try them out.
That's right. That muscle memory. And it's just like building these compost piles.
Yeah.
You can sit here, I can tell you, because what you're going to learn, if you're some of the folks that have signed up on Patreon, what you're going to learn is that there are things because of my altitude, because of my ambient conditions, that are not going to be the same as yours. So it means I can get you most of the way there, but at the end of the day, you got to go out and do it.
Yep.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. We come back straight into the Q&A.
Up about Elon, buying Twitter like he gon' save us. Left and right, squabbling while he got chips for your heads, calling him courageous. No bueno, I answer to no one, start calling me NATO. Digital cheese on the way though. Get you a bowl of Alfredo. It's a woke summer, I need another booster. Before I hit the beach, BLM on my koozie. I'm in here some stove.
Alrighty. So glad to be back with y'all. Once again, want to give a hat tip to Van Tesla for all the great music, especially Joel Thomas over there.
Yep.
They also have a podcast. I guess you could almost say it's our sister podcast. It's called Kill the Mockingbirds. It can be a little raw, but they do actually come up with some pretty interesting thoughts. I mean, things you never heard about before. All right, Samantha, in a nutshell, I'm going to have to condense some of these, y'all. Hang on. She has to be anonymous, so I already messed up. In a nutshell, basically.
I'll go back and blank out that name.
You can do that?
Let's not make it a habit.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there looking. I'm like, okay, so I'll say this name. This is from so-and-so. And then it says, please keep me anonymous. Okay. My bad. So anyway, I guess you're going to be anonymous after all. I guess that'll be the first edit we do to this show. And talking to Greg, by the way, Greg Judy, he edits nothing.
I
He
believe
gets
it.
everything in one take. He's like, he ain't editing nothing. He ain't got time to fool around. Look, the information's there, man. What you can do with it, that's up to you. And it was almost funny. I was like, man, I know some guys spend 8 hours in editing. I said, man, my son, he spends like no time at all. He says, yeah, I don't spend nothing at all. I said, do you edit? He says, no, I don't edit nothing. So,
He trims the beginning and end.
yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, here's what it is.
Yep.
So, yeah, anyway, she works at Walmart, and basically saying that she agreed with you. We were talking about something the other day, and in a nutshell, she's basically saying there's a whole lot of lazy people out there. They won't look you in the eye. They won't do anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
when it comes to some of these places.
Oh,
So,
as far as like customer service and
yeah,
stuff? Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
yeah, so we got no shortage of those.
I got one from Jed. Oh, yeah. You're over here trying to get her fired, Dad. She's over here snitching on her employees.
My bad.
I got one from Jed on the Fountain app. Those gold rings at gas stations are mostly real. They do it with turquoise and silver out west. It's all hotter than a $2 revolver, and many pawn shops have started following KYC, know your customer regulations. So they sell it to you, they get on their highway, you get on the highway going the other way, and you both are 100 miles away from the original owner in 60 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know
where that was going.
I don't doubt it. When I was talking about all these guys that were basically coming up with gold, and this guy came up to me at the gas station over at Ingles.
Oh.
He came up with this gold ring, and he got these two kids in the back saying he's on it. It gives me this hairy heart.
Oh,
like,
okay. That makes sense. I got you now.
I'm like, dude, that gold ring is not worth the tank of gas. I can guarantee that. And then I was like, nah, dude. Do I look like I wear... Man, I was in the Army. I never even wore dog tags, y'all, unless I was jumping out of a plane, man. I always put them in my back pocket.
Man.
Yeah, I don't like any kind of stuff touching me. Anyway, yeah, Jody says, yeah, y'all crack me up, but don't have any questions for you. Just want to say thanks. I investigate child abuse, and I am a volunteer firefighter. Garden helps me relax. All right, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And thank you for your selfless service, Jody.
Thank you. Maybe we should start up a donation for a wood chipper.
Yeah. Yeah. Things get stupid enough.
Yeah. I got one from Johnny12868. I guess when the survival prepper mode, we tend to avoid and overlook others and stay on the defensive. I guess when in the survival / prepper mode, we tend to avoid and overlook others and stay on the defense. Sorry about that. Thanks for this show. We need to use the Holy Spirit for our discretion and still do what we are called to do, be a harvester of souls for Christ. Use our resources and skills to do so, gifts of God given to do his work. Amen, brother.
Amen to all that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I pray for discernment. I do. Walter, he basically says, picked a bunch of leaves and dehydrated, made some comfrey salve. That's awesome. That's exactly what we're hoping right here. He's got basically a bunch of crowns and a pile of roots as well. So look, thanks, Walter. And man, that's so awesome that you're doing all that. That's exactly what we're hoping for, folks.
Yeah.
I love hearing stuff like that because with everything that's going on, you can look at the mountain of videos that we have out there. And we're going to do more about all the things we do with comfrey. I mean, there's a reason why it was demonized, and there's a reason why we sell it. In that compost video, comfrey is going to play a major role in it. I guarantee it. So when you get down to brass tacks, yeah, man, that just makes my day because we need to make this stuff so ubiquitous that we can't even sell it.
Got one from user 67405. Hey, pimps, I had the ring thing happen to me, too, at a truck stop in Lebo, Kansas last summer. Same story. Middle Eastern guy, he looked at my Blasian butt and asked me if I was Muslim before he proceeded to try to sell me his ring for gas money. I declined. Keep up the great work. James.
Good night, man. I guess this stuff is happening everywhere. And then the number of people that were saying these folks coming up to their house, messing with these kids. I mean,
he was asking if he was Muslim because he wasn't going to screw you over if you were.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I got to qualify this first. Yeah. So yeah, these. Okay, this is a different one. Matthew's basically sorry for emailing back so quick, but we got chickens, and I'm hearing I'm supposed to turn them upside down and make sure the vents are not clogged. Is this true? Never heard any homesteaders, and I watch a lot. Okay, in a nutshell, look.
Sounds like somebody's trying to get you pooped on.
You could do that, I suppose. I ain't doing it. Look, man, if they demonstrate, especially chickens, I have no problem putting them in the pot. The second the first time they ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing, in the oven you're going to go. I'm not playing around.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to anything like that, I mean, whatever. If you can't move, okay, the number one criteria, if you can't make it through all 4 seasons with minimal help, okay, that's number one. You got to also be the kind of bird that can move a whole lot of material in the chicken tractor on steroids. That is a major criteria because the very ideal bird is different in that system. So that's my criteria. You got a whole lot of sickness or you're attacking anybody, yeah, it's easier to get rid of a chicken. Yeah. So I just let it go. And if I see things that just ain't working out, yeah, you got to go.
But yeah, if you do decide to check the vents, careful, because like when you turn chickens upside down, for some reason they have a tendency to poop and it's projectile.
Yeah.
So watch out. That's what I think somebody's setting you up, maybe.
Yeah.
Got one from Danny OTK. Is there any good use for poison ivy? Deterrent,
Goats.
maybe.
Goats
love it. Yeah, goats love it.
Right, goats.
Sheep, I think, eat it.
I don't know if I ever seen hair sheep eat no poison ivy. But at the end of the day, I imagine you could. I mean, I don't know why you would, but the only reason it's there, look, is because your soil's jacked up. That's why that poison ivy, poison oak, that's the whole reason it's there.
Yeah. So
you got a highly bacterial system that needs to turn a little bit fungal, especially in the areas where you see it. So you make that happen. You get some of that carbon on the ground, you're going to have less of that problem.
There might be a medicinal use for it, like some old school medicinal use for it that we just found something better to use for.
Yeah, there could be, man. I mean, yeah, I'd be real careful about that one. Okay, we were duped by an online store, purchased chestnut seeds rated for zone 5. We sprouted and have 40 trees, and then they find out, okay, they're in the wrong zone. Okay, a lot of that stuff has happened with these people you got a little while ago, didn't you, son?
It was about 2 years ago. I bought like seeds from a website called trees.com. I didn't think it was a scam. Those seeds never showed up. I emailed them about it. They like didn't respond. They just never showed up.
Yeah, so there's no shortage of scams out there. Also they said, okay, so the trees were for zone 5 and they're actually zone 6, but they're in zone 5. They may actually work. It kind of, with the way things, I would maybe keep a couple and they're trying to get rid of some. You might go to freesteading.com, see if anybody could use them over there if you want to get rid of them all. But I would try
think they're
it.
sprouted.
Yeah, but I would give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, give it a shot. And if there is one or a couple that survive, like propagate the best ones. And then you almost have cold hardy chestnuts, I guess, or chestnuts that are hardy to your zone.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all I got down.
Okay, I heard from Greg and Izzy. They were the daughter and dad, the one that reminds me of Ben. All you white people look the same to me. But hey, dude, I don't even care, man. I think people actually love the idea that nobody's really concerned about being politically correct around here. Yeah. So we haven't done it before. We're not about to start. Anyway, he was issuing a pretty good thank you. He says, we greatly appreciate your time and advice and looking forward to reading your book. Yeah, got a book coming out. Hopefully it won't be too long from now. Watching your YouTube videos, listening to your podcast, and hopefully seeing you in person at the next Grazing or Permaculture session. So
That's awesome.
it was a real joy to meet them.
Yeah, and if you blue-haired Marchies think we're going to sacrifice humor for political correctness,
you got another thing coming, nephew. No, I'm just glad, son. I'm just glad that honestly, there are things that are so far over the top that we wouldn't do for the sake of whatever, but this is the way I talk around my friends.
Yeah.
And it could be white friends, black friends, Hispanic friends. It doesn't even matter. Middle Eastern. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to sit here and church it up and go another way because I'm afraid I might hurt somebody's feelings.
We're going to get canceled for leaving out the Asians.
Okay. Yeah, some of you Chinese folks out there too. No, the reason I said that, there's a buddy of mine who, if they are Asian, he calls them all Chinese. And I was like, what? Dude, I don't know if they came from China.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of Asian countries that might have an issue being called Chinese.
Like Japanese?
Yeah,
you think there might be a little enmity there, or Koreans being called Japanese?
Hey, you think any other race, the most racist race on earth are the Asian people. I don't care what anybody says, they're the most racist people on earth.
Dude, years ago, they had this thing on NPR. And I'm just going to point this out. Look, man, it's my show. We can talk about anything. Check this out. This was NPR years ago, and they were talking about how, and it happens because I actually saw it after I saw the show. we were living in Oklahoma at the time, and they were talking about how if you're an Asian person and you go into an Asian restaurant, that you always get this complimentary bowl of soup that ain't on the menu and on all you can eat.
Huh.
Yeah, they give you this soup that only Asians get, and it's not on the menu. And every single time, I'm like, hold on, what are those folks eating over there? But I don't see them getting food off the buffet.
So what's it called? Okay, like people doing blackface and all that getting canceled. What's it called whenever you're trying to put on makeup to look Asian? Because I'm trying to get some bowls of soup. Man, I'm trying to see what's up with this soup.
I don't know, dude. There ain't no telling what's in that soup, man. But I mean, there ain't no telling what's in the buffet. But I mean, truth of it being, yeah, they did. They talked about this years ago before NPR got totally woke. It was always woke. But before it got, I mean, this is like years and years ago. We're talking like almost 30 years ago. And I remember that story like it was yesterday because for every time I would turn around, I would go by some Asian place, I used to eat a lot of Asian food back then. And then I would go in there. I'm like, hold on, they got rice and everything at that table. Not one of them got it off that buffet line, and they all got soup. So I asked the lady, I said, how do I get some of that soup over there? And all of a sudden, she don't speak English. It was also in the Thai restaurants. They did it there too.
Man.
So yeah, who knew it was going to go that way? Okay, so Walter's asking, is it better to let the comfrey bloom or chop and drop before it does? It's growing beautifully here, but we have only 1 inch or like 0.1 inch of rain in 3 weeks and no substantial rain for the next 10-day forecast. Shalom, Walter.
I would wait till there's a handy tip or a handy little saying you can use when it comes to chop and drop. It's wait till your precipitation is higher than your evaporation. So wait till you're in the rainy season and it's raining or there's rain in the forecast before you start doing chop and drop, unless you don't care at all about the survival of that plant.
And with comfrey, honestly, depending on where you are, sometimes it don't make a difference.
Yes, depending on where you are, it really doesn't make a difference. I mean, even in Texas,
yeah, we did it indiscriminate.
I harvested it in the middle of summer that one year.
Yeah, with no rain in sight.
Yeah,
and it still blows up. I mean, once it takes root, y'all. I mean, you got to also say that there was, in fact, we had swales out there too, so there may have been a little more water stored into the subsurface than we knew.
That's a good point.
Also, we got a guy, let's see here. Oh yeah, James, he's asking, about a consultation. I'm basically telling him, hey, used to do that sort of thing, but we really can't swing it these days. Go check out Eric Sider. Anybody wanting a consultation out there, the very best out there, my man Eric Sider, and it's at e.sider. Sider is spelled SEIDER at gmail.com.
It's linked down below.
Okay, so check it out down below or whatever. Yeah, if you need a consultation or some of the ball in this pimp, I mean, everybody, the
permaculture shirts?
Well, it's funny because Greg, Judy, and Jam were asking where I got that shirt where it says regenerative.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when both of them were like, where'd you get that shirt?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, my man Eric Sider made it. So, yeah. He says, good day, Billy. Okay. Basically, we're hearing, from Niles over there in, he's basically in Jeff Lawton's backwoods. He said he's in Southeast Queensland, and he sent it around regenerative farming for the last 5 years ago. And in one area, I'm super keen on the self-sufficiency for livestock in terms of feed and anti-parasitic treatment and pasture management. I run chooks, which are chickens. Yeah, chooks. Cattle, goats. I gotta interpret for an American audience too, even though everybody's from out the globe these days. And utilizing forestry and pastures. Basically, he wanted to give us a shout out for being very bold about our stance as followers of Christ. And
thank you.
I understand over there right now that's a pretty tough place to be.
It was tough before, all the COVID crap happened. You have all these tiny little animals that you can't see coming trying to kill you.
Yeah.
And if they're not tiny, it's a shark.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to stay. I'd love to go to Australia, but you ain't going to be sticking nothing. You stick something in me, I'll be sticking something in you. That's how it's going to go down. We'll make a deal. Y'all ain't jabbing me with nothing. So
we won't make a deal. I'll stick first.
Yeah, I go first. No, we're not playing that game. You're not sticking any of this junk in me. Yeah. Anyway, check this out. Justin, he lives down the road over here in Bernardsville, and he was out there at Greg Judy's. He didn't tell me. He didn't walk up to me or anything. There was a lot of folks. I was talking to a lot of folks. Maybe he just couldn't get in there, but yeah, he was out there, and turns out he just lives down the road. Folks,
cool.
that's exactly what you find every time you go to one of these conferences.
Yep.
I kid you not. You can sit here. I don't care if they do, like in October. Bobby Spags is going to be doing the Kansas,
Midwestern Prepper Conference. Is
yeah,
that it?
yeah. Bobby and them are going to be doing it back there, and I promise you, I'm going to be there in October. I'm going to be there, and I promise you, there's going to be somebody within an hour of me.
Oh yeah.
Every single time, no matter when you go to these things, Shelly and them got something going on up there in,
Kentucky.
In Kentucky, Hickory Ridge Soap. And I guarantee we'll get up there, and I guarantee there's going to be somebody that was just within a couple of miles of you.
Yeah, you'll drive hours
Every
to find
single time.
somebody next door.
Every single time.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for checking us out. Until next time, stay alert.
Stay alive.